Welcome everybody to the next episode of the Self-Belief series. I'm so excited today to be chatting to Annabelle Stanford. We have had a wonderful time getting to know each other over the years through Farm Owners Academy and the Soul Pleaser program. Welcome, Annabelle. So great to have you here.
Thank you, Tracy. I'm so pleased to be here chatting to you. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So can you please let everybody know how you first met me and how you ended up doing the Soul Pleaser program?
So I first met you in 2019 when we joined Farm Owners Academy, and you were one of the coaches. We did a retreat weekend, and you ran the retreat and did some things there. And that was just when I think you were launching your Soul Pleaser program. And I heard you talk about it and thought, no, I don't need that. So it was a little while later, maybe 12 months later, that we had a coaching call. I had a coaching call with you and realized it was exactly what I needed to do, and signed up to the course.
So at the time when you realized that it was what you needed, can you remember why? What was it that you were looking to change back then?
There were issues going on with our business and relationships within the business. And I felt that, well, just to circle back a little bit, when I made the decision initially that I didn't need you, it's because I think there were a lot of areas of my life that I got these concepts or sort of knew what I was doing, but they weren't carrying across to all areas of my life. And there was some relationship stress and issues in the business. And when I chatted to you, I just went, oh my goodness, I can see exactly what's happening here. Like, this is the problem and this is the solution. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's interesting when the idea of the self-belief series came to me, it was really it dropping in for me after running Soul Pleaser for so long that when we don't know what the self is, then we can't believe in the self. And so I think that what really changes when somebody goes through the Soul Pleaser program is that they remember who they really are and then automatically have that belief in self. And so the other interesting thing that you said is that there were areas of your life where you were able to apply these concepts easily. And then there were other areas where it was more challenging. And I think that that's the case for everybody. And I also think that that can change throughout our life through different seasons and depending on what's happening around us. So that's why I like talking to people about their self-belief journey, because that's what I think it is. I don't think it's like you just arrive and then that's it. I think that things change, and sometimes we have very strong self-belief in some areas of our life, and then sometimes it wavers in other areas. And you know me really well now, and you know what I teach, and what I believe is that before we came into this human experience, we had 100% self-belief because we absolutely knew how magnificent we are, and we had no self-doubt. And then we come into this human life and a few things happen and it kind of is like dents in the armor of that self-belief. So can you share, Annabelle, your first memory of starting to have a dent in your armor with regards to your self-belief?
Yes, I can. And just to double back a little bit, I think that in the fact that I couldn't have the self-belief in all areas, I think was partially due to the fact that when I came back into the farming business with my parents, and I certainly am not going to take this as an opportunity to rag on my parents, they've done, a great job with us, is that it takes you back to where you got all your conditioning. And that's where the points were coming up, that you're trying to push back on this conditioning and discover, well, who am I really? And they're trying to do the very best thing for you and do what they think is best. And it's really difficult to have both those existing together. But it was sometime probably around 9 or 10. I feel that like I probably there's not a specific incident, but it's almost like I started to become aware, oh, okay, I do this and people are happy, and I do this and people are definitely not happy. So, okay, I'll keep people happy. I'll do this.
Yeah.
Whereas prior to that, I sort of feel like there definitely was just a freedom to be yourself and just, you know.
It's so magical, isn't it? Like when I came across that photo of myself last year, I think it was, and I was doing this like funny pose, you know, for my birthday. And I looked at myself and I went, oh, that's the girl that I lost. Like that
Yeah.
was the girl that didn't care about anything or what anybody else thought and was just being myself all the time. And then it soon after that, somebody pointed out my fat ankles and the whole self-awareness started in a negative way. And so I can really relate to what you're saying. Like there is a real freedom in little kids. And how old is your youngest? Because I'm sure you see that in her.
Yes, I do. My youngest is 3.5, and she is so refreshing to see this. She actually told me the other day, Mummy, I'm going to be a princess when I grow up. And I said, oh, okay, well, what are you going to do? And I thought, I'm not going to pigeonhole her or tell her anything. And I said, oh, what are you going to do when you're being a princess? She said, oh, I'll do my hair and I'll do my nails and then I'll do my sparkle shoes. And I said, oh, okay, and what about when you've finished doing all that? She said, I'll just do my nails again. And I was like,
Fantastic.
and interestingly, my mum said to her, sweetie, that's not how the world works.
Mm.
And I said, Mum, there's people on YouTube doing their hair and doing their nails and being princesses, and they are making more money than you or I. So I'm not going to tell her what she can and can't do. She'll work it out. She'll work it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. And if you hadn't have applied all of these things to yourself, you could have potentially have said the same thing as your
I
mum.
absolutely would have. I absolutely would have, because I'm like, oh, where's she going to go with that? What's she going to do? You know, like,
Yeah.
where's she going to end up?
Yeah.
Go to university and get a real job,
That's right.
like I did. Ooh.
Right, exactly. And interestingly, you and I are both doing something different to what our university degree pieces of paper say.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with going to university, but it's just so interesting. We come from a place of love and care, but our conditioning says, oh no, you won't be successful by being happy and just doing what lights you up. You have to get serious and do something serious.
Yes, and it needs to be hard, and you need to, really, really work at it and really push against the grain and hustle and do all those sorts of things.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah, but
true.
I mean, I don't regret doing that. I say I had to go and do law to meet my husband. So
Yeah, oh, absolutely. There are so many things that are great that come out of everything we do. And I always say I have no regrets. I don't regret anything I did, even if when I first did it at the time, and this would be small things like, I was short with someone, or, I didn't keep in contact with someone or something like that because I was so obsessed with working. I might have regretted it at the time, but now I can see the big picture. I realize that every little thing we've ever done that perhaps we would choose differently now was all leading us to where we are now, which is why we end up seeking this information, which we can apply to our lives.
yeah, absolutely.
So self-belief after that period of time, so that was your awareness, oh, people's happiness, changes depending on what I perceive is my behaviour causing it. And then how did that play out through school, making the choice at university and those stages of your life?
That definitely had a role in choosing to go and do law at university. Part of that was my ego and knowing that it made me feel good when you say, oh, I'm thinking of doing law. Oh, well, that's very impressive, isn't it? Oh, you must be clever. Like, "Oh, okay." Like,
So
like,
true. Yeah.
whereas I actually was looking at that time at the sort of thing that I'm doing now into health and naturopathy. And I thought, oh, no, that's not as impressive, is it?
Yeah. Yeah. And people will say, oh, how are you going to make a living out of that?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, both of what you do and what I do, people could call alternative because you know, you're not necessarily the person that's hospital based that the doctor will refer somebody to, and the same with soul pleaser. And yet I come from a physiotherapy background, which is when the doctor would have referred people to me. And so it's just letting go of what culturally is acceptable and normal, and really following your heart. But I love the way that you recognize that there was a crossroads there, and there was the heart calling you in one direction, and you were going to get there eventually, you know, and then there was the sensible, you know, thing to do. When I was really little, and you would have heard this story, you know, I used to be in the bath, and I used to, in my mind, have this kids' TV show where I was teaching kids how to play games in the bath. And here I am now, you know, doing these videos and these online calls, teaching people how to find themselves and love themselves. So I knew forever that I was going to teach, that I was going to help, you know, and I guess I did that in lots of different ways, which you would have done through law as well, just in a different way, and perhaps in a way where there wasn't as much freedom for you to be yourself.
Yeah, and I think also my law path, you know, I really needed to go down that path and batter my own health and recover my own health
Yeah.
and transform myself to realize, oh my goodness, like I'm in the wrong area here. I'm so unhappy and my passions truly lie elsewhere.
Yeah, that is so true. It's so true. You have to actually experience the thing that you're going to help other people with, so that you're not talking through knowledge, you're talking through experience, which is the best
Yeah, yeah,
way.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely. And if I had done everything right and did everything that I did now, I wouldn't know what I know. I wouldn't have had that transformation. I wouldn't be speaking to clients and saying, I understand how much you want your wine every night.
Yeah,
I understand how much you want your coffee. Like I've been there. I know what that's like. Like I understand it. So
yeah. I love that example about the wine, because as many people know, I stopped drinking alcohol altogether. It's probably 12 years ago now, not because I was an alcoholic. I absolutely didn't have a problem with alcohol. But the more that I delved into this work of discovering who we really are and aligning with the self, you know, the real self, I just felt greater energy and greater awareness and more myself, without any numbing, without the scrolling, you know, the excess food, the really processed food and alcohol, or anything that kind of gives you that, you know, ulterior sense. And it's interesting how people will reach for those things because they're looking for themselves. They are actually looking for relief and for happiness. And so they reach for these artificial ways to get there, rather than tapping into it themselves. Can you share your story of back when you used to use food and other things like most people do, or many people do, for relief, and how you were able to make that shift?
yeah, so I am not a purist with these things. I still drink coffee. I do still drink wine, but it's not something I'm relying on all the time.
Yes, that's the key. Yeah.
Yes, and I found myself with certain issues that would come up that were mainly these sort of business related issues. I would turn to wine because I didn't know how to process it. It were these bad feelings and I didn't know how to process it. So for me, it was more a numbing effect, just take the edge off that bad feeling rather than sit with the feeling. And I've learned a lot of this through you, but also teaching my own children. Okay, cool. That's a big emotion. We're just going to sit with that for a minute. We're going to feel it. We're going to move on from it. Like we're going to process it rather than, I don't like how that feels. And I'm going to just turn to something to make it go away. And it doesn't make it go away. You push it down deeper and deeper. And then you
Yeah.
have to deal with it later at another time. So,
Yeah, yeah. And one of the things that I loved, and everybody else in the Soul Pleaser program loved, is watching you cry. Which sounds a little bit like, you know, we're mean people, but it's just a beautiful thing to be able to witness somebody being absolutely honest and completely owning the emotion they have at the time, and allowing yourself to feel it. And then the relief, like you always giggled through your crying. So there was this real combination of allowing it to come out, the frustration and really feeling it, but then the relief, which causes us to laugh, cry.
Yeah. And there were times, and I'm certainly still not perfect at this. And I know that's come up a lot with you and I, that you're constantly saying, this is the life journey. You are not going to nail this. There's going to be times you have to reset and go, oh, I'm doing this again, or oh, I've fallen back into old ways. But a lot of those emotions, I didn't even know what they were. Like I'd say to you, oh my God, I've got this terrible feeling and I don't know what the feeling is. Or I remember when we first spoke and I think you said to me, oh, you're jealous. And I was like, what? No, I'm not. I wouldn't be jealous. And I was jealous of a relationship that I wanted, you know, that I could see other people had. And I was jealous of that. And I realize now that jealousy is a little tap on the shoulder to say, I would like that, please, in my life, rather than something to be, scorned or something like that. It's really something telling you this is what you're striving for. This is what
Yeah,
you want
this
in
is
your
what's
life.
possible. Yeah, it's such a great turning point. And of course, as you know, everything that I was able to see in you, it's only because I'd been there and seen it myself,
Yeah.
which is exactly what you're doing now. So I love your story and how much self-belief connects with how you make changes to your health. So what I found with the women that I work with is that a lot of them get healthier as a result of doing the soul pleaser work. So, Rachel, and Rachel shared, I think she's with us now actually, she shared her story that when she first joined, it was because, she wanted to drink less. And my program is not about how to do that, but my program is about, finding that happiness within and also knowing what to do with emotions so that you can sit with them, feel them, not make up a story about them, not even have to know what they're about, and just feel them, let them go, and then move into that higher vibration. But if you can take us through your health journey, because it's really led you to the business that you're running now. And I think it's so tied into self-belief. I think that when you don't have confidence in yourself and you don't make yourself a priority and you don't have a strong self-worth, then you don't prioritize your health and you don't think it's something that deserves your attention or your energy. Start with telling us about your story around that, and then we can lead into, how you're helping other women with that.
Yeah. So this sort of started, well, in hindsight, I think I'd had health issues for a whole number of years, and it really came to a pinnacle in my law career. And then I had a child and I was traveling and managing daycare and all the mum stuff and all the corporate law stuff. And I just, that was me reaching for the wine every night because I was just knackered. I was absolutely exhausted. My son actually was not a well little baby. He was a happy little fellow, but he didn't grow. And so then that took me down a whole path of working out, well, what's going on with him? Because I had looked at my health previously and it's sort of like, oh, here's some supplements or here's this. Like there wasn't, there was nothing, there was no disease state. So everyone kind of just dismissed it. Oh, there's nothing wrong. And so when Archie got sick, I found a great naturopath. We'd been through all the doctors in Sydney. He had multiple pediatric specialists. We'd been in at Westmead and everyone was just scratching their head. They didn't know what was going on. And I found this naturopath and she said to me, it's you, it's your breast milk. It's coming from you and your gut. Oh, and then that just made me realize what was going on. And of course, I could prioritize my health when it meant I was prioritizing my child's health.
Yeah, I can
Because
imagine.
I didn't have the self-belief and I didn't have the self-love to go, all right, this is what I do. What had been modeled to me all my life was to put everyone else first, run yourself into the ground, and that's how you show your love to your family.
Yeah.
And so once I started working on my health, and I actually then I got a bit of help from this naturopath, but really dove deep into the science and really started reading the journal articles and working out what the hell's going on with my energy. Like I just was tired all the time. No matter what I did, I would do a half a day in the garden and I'd be wiped out. And I was like, this isn't right. I'm in my 20s, in my late 20s. And so once I started discovering some of this science, I was like, oh my God, this stuff it's stuff that we do every day or don't do every day. It's so simple. and it started transforming my health, and it definitely took me up a notch, and I was definitely much, much better. And I was like, this is great. I want to teach this stuff. This was a few years ago. And then I found your course, and it's totally taken it to another level, because it's just absolutely about self-love and loving yourself and filling up your own cup first, which it sounds really selfish when you are not used to hearing that, especially as a mother, but I've got so much to do, and everyone's nagging me, and everyone's, wanting my attention. But once you fill up your own cup and have the spirit, God, I'm such a more patient mother. I'm so much more fun to be around. I just have more to give. And the kids know now, like when I do a meditation, I hear them come in sometimes like, oh, mum's meditating, shut the door. Because they know to just leave me. And then afterwards, or they come, the little one comes and just sits in my lap and sucks a thumb and cuddles up in there. But they know because I prioritize that. And I said, no, this is my 15 minutes, and this is what mummy needs right now. And then we go on with our day, and, it's just so much more peaceful. And there's also an element of learning to know yourself and what lights you up, because it's really hard to be energized when you're doing something that you hate. So there's almost the two layers. There's the physical mechanical body and how that works, and then there's the emotional stuff. And I feel like the combination of learning what I've learned from you and then combining that into my new course, Energy Queens, has just, I'm just so excited about it. It's going to absolutely take it to a next level, because it totally moved my health up to the next level as well. It's just phenomenal. Like when I was doing law, and yes, there was other health issues, but anyone that knew me for a pretty long time, actually, not just while I was doing law, knew that if I was up before 7 a.m., like that was kind of a miracle. Well, like literally the last few days, I'm pinging my eyes open at like 10 to 5, 5:15, and I'm getting up and I'm wanting to do this work, and I'm wanting to do more research and work on this course and research for clients and get things sorted out for clients, because I am just so passionate about it. Like it changes people's lives, like once you do this stuff, and women can show up as the mother that they want to be, and they can show up as, even the person at work that they want to be, if that's their thing and that's what they want to do. Like it's really, really life-changing. I'm super excited.
It's so fantastic to see you so excited and so inspired about your work and what you're doing. I think that we are energized by our emotions, and enthusiasm and inspiration is the absolute key. And so that energizes us, but it also puts us in the space to receive the inspiration of what's best for our body. And sometimes that will inspire us to go to somebody like you to actually take us through your course, so that we can apply the things that we haven't studied, because it's your passion to study it and learn all the details about it. And so for somebody else, they might just really feel good about wanting to be more energized, and then they're inspired to join your program, for example.
Yeah, that's so true, because it is my happy place to sit there and read scientific journals and learn about this stuff. Like I am a nerd at the end of the day, and I do love doing that stuff. But then I think that it's my superpower to actually then take that to people in lay terms and say, this is what you've got to do, and this is how it works, and this is what it's doing to your body. Get rid of all the jargon, get rid of all the science that most people just don't have the capacity or just aren't interested to learn about, and just get down to the nuts and bolts and say, this is what's going on, and this is what what you need to be doing.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, tell us about Energy Queen.
So Energy Queens is my group coaching program for women. I have had a couple of inquiries about men so far, but kind of like your program, like, I don't think I'm there just yet.
I started with women, really got my straps going before I took on the men.
Yeah, like, I don't think I'm quite ready for the men just yet. I think we're in tune with women. But it's still in the pre-sale phase at the moment. So there'll be around 6 modules. I actually was looking at doing a bonus module the other day, basically setting out all these issues and these scientific factors, I guess, that will be affecting your energy, how to change them, what to do, how you implement, because there's a lot of these things, it's a layered approach. There's not just one thing. There might be one main thing for you or three things for you, but they're four different things for someone else. So it's part of understanding what's going on there and highlighting, well, what are my things that I need to work on that are really going to shift the needle for me? And then there's also a lot of the mindset and self-love stuff in there, because I found with my one-on-one coaching clients, there's telling them that they need to do something to feel better. They know that, but for some reason, as we know, they put everyone else first and they come last in the line, and their health doesn't change. So it's about, learning those skills that you have taught to really be able to integrate that stuff and have the changes that you need and see the energy changes that you're looking for.
And it just complements the Soul Pleaser work so much. Annabelle reached out to me to ask whether she can refer people to the Soul Pleaser program, because she sometimes is talking to them and realizes if they could give up the people pleasing first and then actually love themselves enough to prioritize themselves, then they'd apply what they're learning when they're working with you. And energy is what we're both working with, so I'm working with energy from the emotional side of things, and you're working with energy from the physical side of things, and they complement each other so much. Even in my Calmness Code challenge, I just touch briefly on food because I know that it's so powerful. So it's really nice to have somebody that's been through Soul Pleaser actually having that background, as well as all of that knowledge that you have, and that enthusiasm about it. That's the key, I think, is that you're so passionate about it, you've experienced it firsthand, and now you get to have that wonderful feeling as you experience other people improve.
Yeah, and I remember having that aha moment on one of your retreats, and I was still just studying at that point. I hadn't started my business, and I remember saying to you, oh my God, what am I going to do with people that I'm just going to tell them to do these things, but they're not going to have the capacity to go and do it. And you were sort of like, yeah, I know. And we had a little chat about it then. And that was, when was that? 3 years ago, 2 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
And at that point I went, oh my gosh, this stuff really needs to be integrated together to get people the changes that they need,
Yeah. And even your meditation practice, if I was ever going to go to advice and get advice from anybody about anything, I would want to know that they understand alignment and that they are in alignment when they're giving me information, because that's really the only information that we can truly trust. And I think that when people are learning how to get into alignment, which basically for anybody who's new to this information means getting on a really high vibration so that you're matching how your real self feels, then you'll be guided to the perfect person to help you. So there'll be no coincidence the people that watch this video who then reach out to you, because the timing is always right. Divine timing draws people in to find the people that are going to help them. So I'm really excited for you. And in terms of your self-belief around this business, take us through that journey, because I know when people start their own business that the self-belief can be an up and down journey until they start to really find that flow.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I credit you and farm owners for this, because farm owners does do a lot of work on mindset and things like that as well. So there's sort of like the business mindset, and then there's the self-belief stuff. But I absolutely could not have jumped on Instagram like I do now. I mean, I did a cold plunge the other day and was on Instagram in my swimmers. Like, not in my wildest dreams would I have ever thought I would do that. But like, I just don't care now. I just don't care what people think. And if people are going to judge, they're not for me. Like, go somewhere else. I'm just doing my thing. I'm in alignment. I know that I am helping people. And if those people, they're not my people, then so be it.
Yeah. And I've shared so many stories with you and the other ladies about, some of the comments I've had over the years with Soul Pleaser. And of course, there's going to be people that think I'm crazy. Like, they're just not going to get what I'm talking about, which is absolutely fine. So I think you just have to trust. That's the beautiful thing, when you said about waking up at 5 a.m., when this thing that you're so passionate about is calling you, you just have to trust that. And you just have to trust that anybody who doesn't get that isn't ready for you. You're not for them. They're not for you. But there are so many people who are. There are so many people who are totally going to relate to what you're saying. I just think that many of us have such similar experiences, you know, that they watch your videos and go, oh, me too, me too, me too, me too, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so, you've said this before, and this is exactly what happened when I started creating Energy Queens, that when you're in alignment, you will not be stopped doing what your soul wants you to do. And I had been thinking about this, a group program and doing things like that for a little while, and it sort of hadn't kicked off. And then literally, I had a break from uni. I'm on uni holidays at the moment. And I just, my brain was going, should I do this? Should I? And I literally just started doing it. I literally just started drafting it, creating a page, setting, you know, like sending things out to people. And then it's all taken off, and the pre-sales had really good interest so far. And it's just, it's just happening. There's no stopping me. I'm like a freight train.
Yeah.
It's like,
So
and I'm so excited about it. It's bringing me so much joy. I actually said to my husband the other day, oh my God, I'm so happy. This is exactly what I love doing. And I'm doing some one-on-one coaching, and I'm doing the group, and there's a few people doing both, which I'm just so excited about, because I just don't have the capacity with one-on-one to teach the full modules, to teach all of the information. And I'm just so excited about it.
yeah, and that's what I love, when you start to live life the soul pleaser way and you let your soul take over. It's easy, and it just happens, and it just flows. You do not have to push yourself to do it. You do not have to make yourself do it. You don't have to schedule it. You can't stop yourself from doing it. And there is just nothing better than that. Like, that just lights you up, and then it lights everybody else up who gets involved in it, because they get to bathe in your light and take that on. I think it's just, oh, it makes my heart sing to see you doing it.
Yeah,
It's so
yes,
exciting.
absolutely. And I actually want, my kids are homesick the other day, and I was doing some work, and I was on my computer basically all day. And Archie said to me, Mum, are you bored? And I was like, no, mate, I'm having the best time. He's like, oh, okay. And I said to my husband, that is so interesting that he pointed that out to me, because I would have spent a day on the computer at work with my law job and just been absolutely exhausted. Like, it didn't light me up. I didn't love the work that I was doing. And I said, I just spent a whole day on the computer, and I am so high on life because I'm doing what I want. It's exactly the same activity, but it's, you know, it's doing what I want versus doing what I should be doing.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the biggest shift, really, is
Yeah.
really absolutely owning that we're here to be who we are, love ourselves, and do what we love. And, you know, when I first start working with people, they often don't even know what that is. So for anybody watching who doesn't know what that is, don't worry, that will come as you start to do the work on yourself. So, Annabelle, can you please share the best way for people to reach out to you if they're interested in learning more about working with you, either one-on-one or by joining your Energy Queens program?
Yes. So I do most things on Instagram. So my address on Instagram is at Stanford _natural _health. So that's where most of my socials and things is on. There's also a Facebook page, Stanford Natural Health, or then you can just email me directly at info at stanfordnaturalhealth.com. So any of those.
Fantastic. And I'll share all of those links with the recording of this, so that will go out to everybody so that they can connect with you. We've got a few people live on the call. So before we finished up, I just wanted to ask if anybody on the call has a question for Annabelle. Please feel free to put it into the chat box or unmute yourself and you can ask the question. And so the kids have seen the change in you. Do you find that the children really adapt to when you change?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm just a more calm mother, and I just have more to give. And for Mother's Day, one of the girls, my middle girl, Harriet, who I often talk about, because Harriet came to teach me a lesson about that, changing my mothering. And she said that Mummy helps me go to sleep at night. And I just went, oh my gosh, because the old me wouldn't have had the patience to sit with her. She just needs someone to sit with her while she goes to sleep. And the old me would just have not had the patience to do that. And I just felt so pleased that that's who I am now to her. Like, I'm so much more patient. Yeah, she helps me go to sleep. Like,
Yeah.
and
And
just I often try and talk to Archie about pursuing his passions. And I had a bit of a chat to him the other night after the comment that he made, "Are you bored?" And I sort of said, you know, when I did my law career, I wasn't very happy. And this just what I'm doing now, working with people, it makes me so happy. It really fills me with joy. I said, "Does that make sense?" He goes, "Not really." And then I rolled over and went to sleep. Like, oh, well, we'll get there.
that's the other thing too, is that the big thing, that way that we change is that we don't have to push our new ideas on other people. Like, we really understand
Yeah.
that,
Well,
you know,
he doesn't understand it because he does follow his passions. He
yeah.
just does what he likes. So he actually couldn't understand. And he said to me before, "Why did you do that, Mum? Like, why did you do that?" I'm like, "Oh, mate, it's a whole other story."
I'm
He's just
glad.
he just loves what he loves, and he knows it. He's
Yeah.
still, you know, and so I'm really aware now not to do the conditioning. Like, it'll still happen to some extent, but I feel like when he's older, I can just say, "Here you go. Here's Tracy. Here's Mel Robbins. Here's Brené Brown. Go and work it out. I did my best."
Well,
Sorry
we
about
could
that bit of
really,
conditioning that carried over.
well, when our kids are young, we could really just say, be like your kids. Like, if we could just
Yeah,
watch them being themselves and
yeah,
go, just unlearn all of those things that you've learned and just be like your kids, just unapologetically yourself.
yeah,
Yeah, they're great teachers, our
yeah.
children.
They are. They really are.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Annabelle. It's been amazing to hear about your self-belief journey and how much that has impacted your business and the thing that you're doing at the moment. And I think that for anybody who knows that they need more energy, that you're going to learn so much more than just how to help your energy with food, by working with Annabelle, because the self-belief piece is really important. You need to honor yourself enough to even reach out to her. I think that that's a big step in itself. You know, I really honor that in women when they reach out to me. It's like, well done for even taking the time to have a call with me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so true. And you know, it's not for some people it will be things like food. For other people it will be changing the practices in their day, or you know, taking something in or taking something out. There's so many layers of things that will physically affect your energy, and there's the physical body and then like the mindsets and emotional stuff, and I think the combination of the two is just a real powerhouse. So I thank you for that. You often come up in my gratitude practice. I'm so glad I met
No.
Tracy. I'm so glad she's taught me what she's taught me. Where would I be without her? God, I hate to think.
Oh, well, I'm so grateful that you just kept asking. You were childlike in a way, in the
Yeah,
way.
I was a bit of a pest to you, really. Yeah.
I would not call it that. Like, I loved it. I honestly loved it because you were determined. You're like, tell me 20 different ways how
And
I
I also didn't really trust, you know, like, I'm like, what do you mean?
can.
Is this just a cult? Are you a cult? Like, that came up quite a few times. I'm like, I'm not just going to do what you say because you say it. I'm not going to do that. I want to know, I want to understand it, and I want to know. And then once it starts working for you, you completely sold. Once you experience it in your own life and you see the changes, you don't have to be told about it anymore. You know it then, and
Yes.
then you keep doing it and you do it more and more and more.
Yeah, absolutely. But I really appreciated you saying, I don't get it. Like, that was so great for me to be able to explain it in a different way, in a different way, in a different way. Because I knew you were going to get there. There was no doubt in my mind ever that you were.
Yeah. And I've always been that person that says, stop, take me back. I don't get it.
Yeah.
To make sure that I understand, because I know that there's a lot of people that often say to me, "Oh, I'm so glad you asked that." Like,
Yeah.
not just in your course, but sort of in anything. I wasn't understanding either, but I didn't want to put my hand up and say,
Yeah.
because
It's,
I'm the loudmouth that's like, hang on, stop, go back.
yeah. Yeah. But I also think that that's probably been your superpower in creating a course, because you're going to be able to identify as you're developing the course, oh, is this clear? What questions might people ask? What would I ask if I didn't already understand that? And I think
Yeah,
that that's really important as well.
yeah, yeah, I think so too. I think that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I'm so, so happy for you. So happy for you. So many of the women who have been through the Soul Pleaser program have ended up starting up businesses where they help other people in ways that really light them up. And it's become so clear to me that when I felt so strongly called to put the program together, that all of you women were calling me to this because you had work to do out in the world as well. So I can see the real big picture now of it, that I've just got all these little soul pleasers out there now teaching all these other things, and it just blows my mind and makes me so happy.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. It truly is amazing. And that's where I think the selfishness, you know, in the initial stages when you say, oh, I'm putting myself first, it's so selfish, but you're not, because when you get there, you just want to give back. You have so much to give back, and it's not selfish at all. You're actually giving more than doing the thing that you should be doing and resenting it and bringing that energy to your life and the people that you love or the people around you. It makes the world of difference. So
Yeah, and once you're a soul pleaser, the giving is unconditional. When you're a people pleaser, you're giving to get because you want approval, you want to be liked, you want people to think you're nice, you know, all of those sorts of things. Whereas when you're just being yourself is giving. Your true self is love and giving. And so you just become that, and it just oozes from you all the time. So yeah, it's amazing.
awesome. Thank you so much. It's so lovely to chat again.
Yeah, I
We
know.
haven't chatted as much since we've finished up on the Q&As. I love it.
I will never forget when your gorgeous little girl said, Mummy, is that your best friend?
Who do you talk to every week, every fortnight? Is that your best friend? Yeah.
So cute.
I know.
Thank you, Annabelle. So lovely
Thanks,
to see
Tracy. You too. See you later.
you. Bye.